more difficult for us to breathe. This is a weird year, 2020. I'm seeing things this year I have never thought I would see. Anybody else? Y'all, I never thought I would see anything like this. Where not only are black folk angry, y'all, that ain't rare. We've been angry. But it seems for the first time since Selmer, the entire country is angry. It seems like for the first time in a long time, the entire country saw the pain of black folk. And instead of seeing it from a place of privilege, instead of seeing it as happening to someone else, the entire country finally saw the pain of black folk for what it is: the consequence of a broken system, the sin of a moral nation, and a great evil that must be eliminated. The entire world has come to see the truth that black folk are forced to learn that you can love this country, but if you're not careful, if you're not vigilant with an eye on justice, this country, its system, will kill you. A couple years ago, I'm gonna tell a story. I always tell stories. A couple of years ago, a lady and her friend went shopping in San Antonio, Texas. And by mistake, they locked a 9-month-old baby in the car with the keys inside. And so while the mother and her friend were frantically running around in 99-degree weather, the car is getting hotter and hotter. They called a neighbor, and he comes running, and he tries his hardest to get the door open with a coat hanger. Meanwhile, the car is getting hotter and hotter, the baby's getting hotter and hotter, and a man named Fred Oriola walks by and sees what's going on. He sees their frantic state. He runs to his truck, grabs his tool chest, pulls out a hammer, breaks the back window of the car, opens the door, and snatches the baby out. And you think he's a hero, right? They interviewed Frank Oriola and they said, "Frank, you're a hero." He said, "Not to the mother. She's mad that I broke her window." This country, maybe by mistake, has put so many of us in the same position that baby was in. Every year it gets hotter to the point where now we can't breathe. For years, for decades, for centuries, all we've been allowed to do is fiddle with a coat hanger, trying to free ourselves without breaking anything. And finally, after all the blood that's been shed, after the costs that have been paid, after the scars we've earned, the country is finally awake enough, finally angry enough, finally loves us enough to go and get the hammer and get us out of this system that has been burning us alive and choking off our air. Frank said, "What's a window compared to a baby? What's a broken system compared to the life of a black man, to the life of a young black woman in her own home?" I never thought I'd see the day when it just wasn't certain communities, it wasn't just certain areas, it wasn't all of us alone, but somehow now it's all of us together. All of us with love and peace in our hearts, taking hammers to the walls that divide us. These marches, these protests, they are great first steps, but they can't be the last steps. The incidents of the past couple months have sparked a passion for change in this country. Y'all, we gotta have passion. Passion will get you out the couch. Passion will get you out the house. Passion will have you walking a mile and a half in the heat. That's passion. But passion isn't enough. Passion alone gives you momentary flashes. It gives you all protest and no change. Dr. King said a social movement that only moves people is merely a revolt. A movement that changes both people and institutions is a revolution. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want a revolt or do we want a revolution? Revolution? Then we need more than passion.
I gotta step away a minute.
Passion alone burns buildings and loots stores and changes nothing. We need a revolution. This system has been rolling along for longer than we've been alive. It's got generations of momentum behind it, And so if we're going to stop it from rolling right over us, we can't just be a flash in the pan. Because all these companies, I got so many emails in my inbox from all these companies that all suddenly are Black Lives Matter. All these companies with these commercials showing support, all the Democrats with the kente cloth. The minute the passion runs out, it will all snap back to doing the same things that's been done before. We know because we've seen it. We might not say it out loud, but we're afraid of it. In the midst of all this anger and marching, in the back of our minds is this fear that all of this is going to mean nothing. We, all of us together this time, we have to marry our passion to a process. Somebody say passion and process. Passion will get people out of their houses. Process will get them into elected office. So they can change the laws to protect us instead of protecting the ones who kill us. It's one thing with passion to demand change. But we need process on top of it so that we no longer have to ask anybody for anything. Then we can change it ourselves. Passion will get you to shout Black Lives Matter. Process will get you a law degree so you can save black lives. Y'all look, if Black Lives matter enough to have us in the streets hot, to have us angry, to have us marching and protesting, then Black lives need to matter enough for us to do what it takes to get the education we need, to do what it takes to finally vote for people who will fight for equal treatment for us in this country. Black lives should matter enough for us to fill out our census, y'all. Y'all, we know education is important. We better know after 2008 that voting is important. Y'all, this census is important. Listen to this. I'm gonna nerd out on y'all real quick. Is that okay? Because I'm a nerd. $675 billion in public funds is allocated based on census data. $675 billion. This money is health care. This money is child care. It's education, youth programs, housing, roads, transportation. Of Tennessee's $30 billion budget, $17 billion of that was allocated based on census data. Cities lose out on about $1,091 per person for every one of us that doesn't fill out a census form. Guess which, and I'm going to give you one guess which ethnic community is really bad about filling out the census? Is it black folk? Did y'all guess black folk? Y'all guess right. And so that means for us is that we miss out on badly needed funds. That means that programs in Bethel Springs, in Selmer, in McNairy County lose over $1,000 for every one of us that doesn't fill out the census. It means that when our communities have needs and those needs end up underfunded because our communities are undercounted. This is the kind of stuff we have to start majoring in if we want our passion to make change. We have to realize that there are effective processes to create change because our passion will get attention, but on its own it won't get results. And it's funny because if we're honest, y'all, can we be honest? Y'all can be honest with me, you probably won't see me. It's funny because if we're honest, it's almost easier to get out and march. It's exciting. I can take pictures of it. I can post it on Instagram. Everybody on my social will think I'm deep and socially aware. They'll see I'm woke, right? But process is boring. Process is long. I can post a picture of me filling out my census on Instagram and nobody will care. It's not exciting. Marching may only take a few hours, but being an informed voter is a year-long commitment. Not only that, but participating in the process to destroy institutional racism can seem like it won't work. We voted for years. We voted for years and it hasn't changed anything, so we're disinclined to vote. We've been told we don't count for years, so why would we think the census would make a difference? The lawyer in the movie Brian Banks, if you haven't seen that movie, it's pretty good. The lawyer in the movie said, I don't want to stop trying because the system conditioned me to stop trying. That needs to be our attitude. Because the system has conditioned us not to vote. The system has conditioned us to think that things like census are pointless. And it's only by listening to the system that discourages us, only by abandoning the process, that we, in a way, perpetuate our own oppression. Let me say that again. It's only by abandoning the process that we, in a way, perpetuate our own oppression. So when the marching is over, hopefully months from now, when the marching is over, we can't just go back inside. If we go back to the same voting habits, if we go back to struggling to make ourselves heard and failing to make ourselves counted, then the next target of the anger and of the passion will need to be us. This is a strange time. But I believe God made us for a time such as this, amen? Stand up proudly, with passion. Participate in the process so that they will not only hear us now, but in November as well. Amen? It is time for a change.
Thank you.
I've been told this generation coming up ain't like the generation behind that passed, right? I've been told y'all ain't as quiet as we were. So I need y'all to be as loud in the voting booth as you are in the streets, amen? Dave Chappelle has a video out. Anybody seen it? It's got some bad words in it, so have somebody tell you about it. But he says in the video, and I agree, that he trusts you all. And I do too. I trust the young people that are fired up and passionate about this. I trust you all to make change. God trusts you all. He believes in you. I think too often we feel like God is sitting back watching, that he doesn't care. We imagine that God doesn't care when one of his children are murdered. We imagine that God doesn't care when we're silent about it. His heart is broken when he sees us not love each other like he loves us. And so it is our duty, if we believe, to do what our Father has called us to do. Amen? So let's do the boring work along with the marching. Let's vote. Let's register to vote if we haven't. Fill out your census, please. Get your education. Because one day I might need one of y'all to fight for me. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Come on, let's give him another praise. Come on, give him another praise.